I feel like the words non-coercion are so vague when it comes to parenting, so I thought I'd give you an example between coercive and non-coercive parenting. So this person on TikTok was telling a story about how her son wanted 2 donuts and how she set a limit by saying you can only have 1 donut because I don't want you to get a stomach ache and then feel sick today and not have good energy during your day. And then at the end, she said, do you understand why you can't have 2 donuts? And he was like, yeah. And she decided that meant he really understood what she had explained. So that would be coercive. And then non-coercive would be if it's not a financial issue. If it's a financial issue and you can't afford the second donut, that's not this example. So assume you can afford another donut and your child says, Mom, I want another donut. Now, if you're non-coercive, you'd say, okay, I'll get you another donut. And then why don't we see how your body feels and have a talk about it? If it felt good, if you had good energy during the day, and just see how did the sugar affect you. And then you'd have that, you'd follow that up, and you'd talk about sugar and how it affects your attention. And they would learn through the physical experience. Now, a lot of people believe that children don't have the capacity to make those decisions, but that has not been my experience. Especially, I have to say, with girl children that are going to be so inundated around messages around their own bodies and what they should look like and all of that crazy crap. It's so powerful to teach someone raised female to trust their body sensations and impulses and what things feel like. So that would be a non-coercive example.
Once you stop controlling your child, it's a shit show, right? The whole system you set up to control them starts to unravel. If you give them a little space and a little autonomy, it starts to unravel because they start to feel their freedom and their power. And then they start pushing against your authority. And then all the stuff you've set up to control them starts to become apparent to both them and you. And it's a shit show. Like, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess. So I suggest starting as early as possible in their life, in the child's life. Obviously, like from the beginning would be great. I would start non-coercion as early as possible in your child's life because then you can establish a collaborative paradigm from the very beginning. You don't have to undo having controlled the shit out of your child. I mean, that would be ideal. That's not what happened to me. So people are asking for an example of non-coercion. The problem is if you stop coercing your child in one area, it sheds light on all the places you're controlling. So, for example, food. I decided I was going to absolutely take my hands out of controlling my daughter's diet. So it took her at least 4 years to regulate her own food and to learn about health and what feels good and what feels bad and what gives her stomach ache and what makes her hyper and what makes her crash and what makes her stay up. And, I helped her. I was right next to her, but she did not want my input at all. So I had to watch her, experiment, make choices I wouldn't maybe have given to her, eat lots and lots and lots of sugar and artificial colors and, explain it all to her, but with absolutely no judgment.
And then if your child grows up being able to trust what they're feeling and what feels like a yes, what feels like a no, what feels good to eat, what doesn't feel so good to eat, even if they look like they're going off the rails, then when they leave your house, they actually, like when they grow up and leave your house, they actually have a whole experience to draw upon. That's not just intellectual. That's not just like because my parents said so, but because this is what I remember and feel through my life.
Now she's 11 and she's literally making meal plans before we go shopping. So it's just incredible to watch a child learn without the shame and the terror around food. And yet it's been a really wild, wacky, crazy, challenging road to not very subtly put in all my judgments in the way I look at her, the way I look at her food, the way I look at her choice at the store when she wants to pick the gummy worms or whatever, but it's completely paid off. Absolutely paid off. Absolutely been the best choice I made.